Hello Stampers, it's Debbie with Stamp It with Debbie, and today I'm going to show you how to create a fancy fold card called the gatefold. And I'm going to show you that there are several different ways to create a gatefold card. So these are the three samples, and as you can see there's a gate that opens up there, and also with this one as well, and then again with this card here that I created. So I'm going to show you how to create all three of these cards. So let's get started and we'll create these cards together. I am using a mixture of several stamps that will be retiring soon. A couple of them are. This one here is not retiring, but the paper and the stamps will be retiring very soon. So if you would like to purchase those, you can hop on over to my store at stampitwithdebbie.stampinup.net for all of your paper crafting needs. So the first card I did change up just a little bit, and it's the same concept. I'm just going to use a few different colors of the cards today. And so what we need to create this card will be a solid card base, and I cut this one from Pacific Point, and this is cut at 4 1/4 by 8 1/4, and I scored it here at 5 1/2. The next piece we need is another piece of Pacific Point, and this piece is cut at 3 1/4 wide by 8 1/2, scored at 4 1/4. We need a piece of designer paper cut at 4 by 5 1/4. And we need one more piece of designer paper cut at 3 by 4. We need two pieces of whisper weight cardstock cut at 2 3/4 by 3 3/4, and two pieces of a coordinating cardstock cut at 3 inches by 4 inches. We're going to start by doing a little folding first. I'm going to grab my bone folder here, and we're just going to fold up on that score line that we did at 5 1/2. We can take our first piece of designer paper and put it right inside the center of the card on this back flap here. And then this other piece of designer paper that we folded, or that we cut, again at 3 inches by 4 inches, we can put right here. I'm sorry, not 3 inches by 4 inches, 4 by 2 1/2. And we're going to just attach that right up there. Now while we're doing this, I'm going to go ahead and tie this piece of ribbon right here, and I'm just using the white weave ribbon from the annual catalog, and I'm just going to bring enough around so that I can tie a knot. Just going to hold it down there with one finger while I tie it with the other ones and secure it up here. And then I always like to cut a little bit of an angle just to kind of give it a finishing touch here, and then I'll push it off to the side. Alright, now we're going to take this second piece of the card base color, the Pacific Point, and we're going to fold it right there on the score line. Now this one is going to go in this way instead of like a normal card this way. It's going to lay in here this way, but we want to make sure that it's over far enough that when we fold our flap, it's not going to smush our bow there. So we kind of got to eyeball it and see where we want it to be. So I'm going to go ahead, put some adhesive on this back part here, again, I'm going to kind of eyeball it and just make sure that it's not going to go over too far, that it's going to cover the bow totally up. Now I'm going to kind of open it up, and I want to make sure that it's kind of centered top to bottom and that it's straight. So I'm going to work it around, and then I'll go ahead and push it down so that it's very secure in there. So now when we bring it over, we can see that it's not covering the bow at all. Now this piece here can go ahead and be attached to the front of the card. And then we're not going to want to put this piece on quite yet because we want to do a little bit of stamping on it. And I think that I cut these pieces wrong, but I'm going to go ahead and put these on the inside anyways. I think that it will still be fine. It will still offer the contrast, but I flip-flopped the two pieces around. So this normally would have been my contrasting piece, but that's okay. Now on the inside we can stamp anything that we choose. I'm using the stamp set. I'm going to grab it real quick. Abstract Impressions. And on the outside of this one I stamped, if flowers were hugs, I'd send you 1,000. So if we wanted to, we could stamp inside, thank you, or, you know, kindness changes anything. There's lots of good greetings here. I think this one I'm going to leave blank inside because just in case I want to put a thank you or make my own little note. And so this piece we're going to stamp on. I'm going to grab a little piece of scrap paper so I don't stamp off onto my desk here. We're going to use soft seafoam ink to create the flowers here on the outside. And this is a two-part stamp, so just want to start by stamping the grass there at the bottom, or the leaf part of it, and then you're just going to go right over it, and you'll see that it darkens up part of the stamp, or part of the stamping I should say. It just gives it a little bit of contrast there because you're using the same color twice. Okay, so now we need to do our flowers, and I decided on this one. This one I used Calypso Coral, and I decided on this one I wanted to use Mango Melody. I think I'm going to stamp my words first. And I'm going to stick with the same one that I did on the other one. If flowers were hugs, I'd send you 1,000. I'm going to bring this back just a little so I can stamp it straight there. And I used my Memento Tuxedo Black for that. And now I'm going to go ahead and do the flowers. And this is a two-step stamp, so that's the first step. And now I'm going to use this other flower here, and I'm just going to go right over it, and it just makes it a little darkened up there, so it looks like it's a two-toned flower. Set my stamps aside so that I don't get ink on anything, and now I can go ahead and take adhesive and put on the back of this piece. And put it right in the center there. And now whenever you send this out to someone, they can open it up, and you could put another piece in here if you had something long to say, or you could put a little picture in there if you wanted to, and then write your greeting over here. We could put some flowers here, and I guess let's go ahead and do that since I did on the other one. Just to add a little bit of touch to it. So there we go. That's card number one. Number one way to do a gatefold card. Two different colors. This is both the same designer series paper. It is, the name is escaping me right now, and I cannot find my stack of paper to tell you what the name is. I apologize. I'll leave a comment in the link so that you'll be able to know which paper it is. So that's the first card. This is the second card that I wanted to show you, and this one just attaches with a little belly band here. It slides right off, and then the gates open and you can see on the inside. And again, on this one we could put some more either designer paper there or another sheet of white paper if we wanted to write a longer note. So I'm just going to slide this right back into the belly band and put it right in the center there. So for this card, I did this one just a little bit different colors as well, but same concept. This one, we need a card base, and I'm using Night of Navy, 8.5 by 5.5, and I have already scored it at 2 1/8 and 6 3/8. So we can use our bone folder and go ahead and secure both of those edges. Before we get too far, we are going to put a piece of Whisper White inside, and that's cut at 4 by 5 1/4. And we have two pieces of designer paper cut at 2 inches by 5 3/8, and we're going to put those both on the outside here. There's the first piece, and now I'm just putting the second piece on here. And then we do want a belly band to hold this shut, and I have a piece of Melon Mambo, and this is, I just left it at 11 inches, and it's 1 1/4 inches wide. So I'm going to start here in the center, and I'm just going to kind of crease it as I go around. I don't need to actually score it, that's fine. Just kind of crease it as I go around. Now I want to put adhesive here on this end, and a little bit on that other end down there, and then I'm just going to bring it closed, make sure my edges line up here, and you don't want to do it too tight because you want the band to be able to slide up and down. So we're going to put that aside for just 1 minute, and we're going to do a little bit of stamping. I'm going to bring my scrap paper back here real quickly, and this time I'm using the largest of the stitched circles, and I'm also using the stitch shapes, and then the largest of the layering circles, and I'm using the scallop. And we're also going to use Melon Mambo ink. And I decided for this one I'm going to go ahead and stamp off once, and then stamp in the center, and I'll stamp off again. I'm just going to line that up there again, right in a row here. And then I'm done with that part. I'm going to take my Memento Black again, and I wanted my greeting to be able to show up real well. That's why I stamped off a little bit. So now I'm stamping, and I am using the stamp set Ribbon of Courage on this one. I'm using the Sending Love and Hugs to You. I thought it would be a good general card to have. I'm going to stamp that right in the middle. Go ahead and put my ink away so we don't end up with it on something, and I'm going to put adhesive on this one and then go ahead and attach it to the Melon Mambo scallop, and then I am going to attach this piece with a couple dimensionals. Now you want to make sure that the dimensionals stay right in the area where of the belly band so that it doesn't go over. So I'm just going to take a couple, kind of eyeball it. And hopefully this works out here, that I didn't go over too far. I think it's going to be good. And then go ahead and set it right on there, and there is card number 2. And if we wanted to, we could do a little bit of stamping on the inside too. Let's take our heart stamp in our Melon Mambo. Let's just stamp a little heart down here in the corner. I think that's real cute. And then we can use the rest of the area to do a greeting or send some encouraging words to someone. If we wanted to sparkle it up just a little bit more, we could add some rhinestones. So let me grab my rhinestones and we'll put a couple on there. I don't think you can ever have too much sparkle. So let's add a little bit of sparkle to this card. We'll use a couple different sizes. Whoop. And then one more down here. And that's just a little bit of sparkle to that. And this is the same exact one, same exact layout, just a little bit of different colors. And the designer paper I'm using is actually, this is not the Gingham Gal, I put it in the wrong thing. It's got Calypso Coral, Powder Pink, So Saffron, lots of the great new colors. So that is card number 2. We have one more card to do. And you can see that there are lots of different ways to be able to do a gatefold card. And in addition to these 3 that I'm showing you, there are even a few other different kinds. So be sure and explore out there. And a gatefold is really any card that is going to allow you to open the card like a gate. So for this card, we're going to use a card that's a base, and I'm using Mango Melody, 5.5 by 6 7/8, and we're going to score at 2 3/4. So if it was this way, it'd be 2 3/4. That's our base. We need a piece, another piece of the same base card at 3 1/4 by 3 1/2, and on the 3 1/2 side, we're going to score at 2 3/4. You can see there's a little, like 3/4 of an inch score line there. That's what we're going to do with that. We need a piece of designer paper cut at 2 1/2 by 3. That would be this one. And we need another piece of designer paper cut at 2 1/2 by 5 1/4. I have a piece of Whisper White cut at 4 by 5 1/4 to put on the inside. And I do have a couple pieces that I already cut out. I used the Butterfly Gala stamp set and coordinating punch to punch a couple butterflies, and I colored those in with my Stampin' Blends markers. And then I used the sprig punch to cut out a couple sprigs in soft seafoam and in vellum. And this is the card we're going to create. We will also need that white weave ribbon one more time, and a couple dimensionals, and we're also going to be stamping our sentiment. And we're going to use the Butterfly Gala stamp set again. And I really like the saying, "Hello, beautiful." So I'm going to stamp that up in my Memento Black. Do it right here in the middle. And this oval here is from the Stitched Framelits, and it's the smallest oval in the set. So that part is all done. We're going to go ahead and fold our card. Grab my bone folder here. Fold on that line to give it a nice crisp crease. And we can put this piece inside. Okay, we can go ahead and close that up. And now we can put our designer paper right here on this edge. Oh, and I just remembered I was supposed to tuck this piece inside, so let me see if I still can. I'm going to fold this right along that edge. I'm going to see if I can get up under here. Yep, I should be able to. Alright, I'm going to put adhesive on this back part here to hold it in place. And then before we actually put it in, we would want to take the white piece and adhere this to the back here, because I forgot. And I got in a hurry, and I also forgot. Oh my gosh, I'm showing you all the things not to do. Okay, there's a little gap right here, so you want to take a piece of ribbon before you start. And I'll show you the right thing to do here. Because sometimes when you're making a video, you do make a little bit of goofs, but it's real life. So before I put this piece on, what I should have done is, I don't think it will come all the way off. Let's see. I might be able to get it off because I didn't secure it all the way down yet. All right, I can get it, yep, off enough. Hopefully I'm not going to tear it. All right, what I'm going to do is, it's loosened enough. So what you should do before you start is cut your piece of ribbon about 6 inches long, and you're going to put a little piece of tear and tape on the end. And you want to take your bone folder and make sure that it's really secure to that piece of ribbon. Go ahead and peel the backing off. And then you want to put that piece of ribbon right inside of here and make sure that it gets caught inside of that designer paper. Now you can push the piece of designer paper down. Now your ribbon is caught inside of there, right where it needs to be, okay? So we're going to let that piece sit there for just a minute. And now, before we put this piece on here, we want to cut one more piece of ribbon. And we are going to, so this piece was stuck to the back of this designer paper. This piece is going to stick right here. So one more time, I'm going to take a piece of tear and tape. I'm going to put it along the edge and use my bone folder, make sure it's really secure because we don't want the ribbon pulling out of our card. Pull the backing off. And now when we put it on, we want to straighten out our ribbon, and we want to make sure that this piece is going to line up with that piece because they're going to be tying a bow together. Now we can take this other piece of designer paper, put a little bit of adhesive on it here, and put it right over that piece that we put the ribbon on. So we're going to put it right over the top of this. So now you can see these two pieces will tie, and the reason we're putting this on here is because if we didn't, this flap would always want to go open. So if we tie it, and we don't want to pull it too tight because we'll rip our designer paper over here. We don't need to tie it too tight. We just need to have something to hold it down. Well, that didn't work very well. Let's try that one more time. Okay, that's a little better. Let me get my scissors and just cut that edge off a little bit. So now we can take our Hello Beautiful, and we're going to put a few dimensionals on the back. And I'm going to put that right here, kind of not quite in the center. And now I want to take my butterflies and these little sprigs that I made, and I'm going to use a little bit of Tombow multi-purpose adhesive. And put these right underneath. I'm just adding a little bit there on the corner, and I'm going to put up underneath here. Now I'm going to take the other one and put a little adhesive on that, and I'm going to put it up over here because my butterfly is going to be covering that. And I'm just going to bend my butterfly just a little bit so it looks like it's flying. Put a little adhesive on there and push it down. And I'm going to do the same thing with this little butterfly. I'm going to make this one go this way. And so when they open the card, that little butterfly will be down there at the bottom. And so those are our cards today. I hope that you have enjoyed them and have enjoyed learning a new technique. If you are following me here on YouTube and you like what you see, if you would click the like button, I would appreciate it. And go ahead and click subscribe, so whenever I create a video, you will get notification of a new video. If you haven't joined me over on Facebook yet, you can find me at facebook.com/Stamp It with Debbie. And I like to share ideas and tips and tricks over there. And so I would really appreciate if you would come on over and follow me there as well. I hope that you have a great day and that you will come back again to learn another technique from me. Have a great day.